Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, you want updates? You got it. Store policy. You think 72 degrees is too hot and the AC is broken? Better get used to now. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. You want updates? You got it. I remembered this particular scenario and wanted to bring it up here. It's a long one, so grab your popcorn and drinks, here we go. So one of the first IT jobs I worked was for the corporate headquarters of a Midwestern sandwich chain. My brother's best friend was the IT manager of this place and was given full reign to hire anyone he wanted. We had previously worked together in another place and he liked my work ethic, so he ended up asking if I'd take the job. Of course, I said yes since I genuinely enjoyed working alongside this friend, and I thought it would be cool to report to him. Anyway, a few months go by and everything is going well. I had met and enjoyed mostly everyone in the IT department. The one day, the CEO congratulates and welcomes a new CTO. This confused me as I thought that my friend's boss was the CTO, but I then was told that he was actually an interim CTO this whole time. So, being green and naive, I decide to take it upon myself to meet the new CTO. The conversation goes more or less like so. Me, hi. My name is Jerry, I am one of the help desk technicians here. It's a pleasure to meet you and look forward to working with you. Sticks out hand to shake hands CTO. Blank stares at my hand, then back at me. Yes, so if you need anything or have any questions, I will do my best to help. CTO, so just because I am a woman, I need help? And what exactly can a help desk help me with? Don't offer help to me unless I ask for it, got it? My friend saw this and was honestly shocked. To this day, that entire exchange still haunts me. In any case, I moved on and ensured to try to stay out of the CTO's way. I decided I wanted to just do my job and work with my friend. The entire time I worked there, my friend had kept me in the loop with all his projects and his work so that I could hopefully be successful in the field. Then, one day, when I get to the office, I am informed that my friend was fired by a demand of the CTO since he was not meeting expectations, despite all the reports showing that his leadership and changes did in fact yield very high ratings for ticket closures and customer satisfaction. That same day, the CTO comes to the help desk room and walks up to me. She then says, "Hey you worked alongside that manager, right? Well, I am making you the interim manager since you know most everything he was working on." I felt like this was two slaps to the face, one being that she didn't refer to me by my name, and the other that she gives me my friend's job the same day he was fired. A few weeks go by and I just experience going to meeting after meeting. I keep getting told that performance ratings and customer satisfaction is dropping. In particular, the biggest gripe that was reported was that work orders were not getting any updates for days on end, and that the requesters were beginning to feel that we were ignoring their issues. I tried to reply with plan that I had to help alleviate this, but the CTO said we will make sure this is fixed, and would not let me speak. After all those meetings, the CTO sets up a meeting with myself, the director of infrastructure, we'll call him Matt, and the previous interim CTO, who we will call Joe. CTO, okay, how are we going to fix the problem with the work orders? Me, well, I've got a plan that should help with this. See, what I need to do is canvass the tickets and see what CTO, if I needed a plan, I would ask for it. I want an answer now. Me, okay, well, I'm trying to give you the answer which is a part of this plan's CTO, then it's useless if you can't get to the answer. Any other ideas? At this point, we all stayed fairly silent and the CTO was just more or less rambling to herself. At the end, her response was, "Glorious. CTO, okay, so moving forward, no matter what it is, I want every ticket to be updated immediately with anything that is going on with the request as it is being worked on. Me, everything that's going on with the request immediately as it happens? Are you sure about that? I feel like that's going to CTO. I know what I said. If I have to repeat myself, consider yourself out of a job. Me, silent for a second and then, understood. She then proceeded to send an email, summarizing almost everything that happened in the meeting. She then writes that I had no constructive information to provide, but again, see her plan there. It was then that it occurred to me. Cue malicious compliance. I go back to the help desk room to announce the immediate change. Me, hey everyone, just wanted to give you a heads up that moving forward, you are to provide every work order with any and all updates possible. That includes anything from looking at the ticket, to moving a laptop, to typing on it. Just anything you do must be related and entered into a ticket. Tech 1, you want everything in tickets? Me, yep, you heard that right. Everything. As you work on the tickets, keep those updates coming. Tech 2, but if we do that, we could potentially trigger the spam filters. Also, it's going to flood the requesters' mailboxes. Did you mention this to the CTO? Me, she didn't care to hear about it. It's apparently not constructive information. The other 4 technicians stayed silent until one of them said, "A storm is brewing, this is going to be fun," and we all laughed, knowing what was going to happen. I went to the email that the CTO sent regarding the summary of our meeting and opened it in its own window on my computer. I then continued to do as she had asked, and so did the other technicians. It wasn't even an hour before our updates were beginning to get blocked by the spam filters, and we started getting emails from the requesters asking us why we were updating the work orders so much, others asking to be removed from future ticket updates, and many demanding to speak to a manager regarding this sudden disturbance. I updated the IT help desk email with an automatic replay that said something along the following. Thank you for your message. If this is in regards to your ticket updates, rest assured that we have your best interest in mind. A new policy is in place to provide you with as much transparency to your IT requests. This is in hopes to provide a better customer service experience. Please rest assured that we are aware of the amount of tickets this may produce. We hope to provide further support to you and look forward to completing your request shortly. Company IT Help Desk. It was not long after this that the CEO came into the help desk room and demanded to know what the hell was going on. I could tell he was ready to fire someone when I calmly said, "Good afternoon, sir. We are simply following orders," and pointed at my screen to the email with the meeting summary. The CEO looked at me and growled, "Follow me." As we were walking, we passed by Matt's, Joe's, and the CTO's office, each time the CEO growling at them in my office. Now, we get to his office and the conversation goes like this: "CEO, what the hell is going on?" Me, I will reiterate, I am only following orders. CEO, and what exactly were these orders? Me, reiterates the orders. Here is the email from the CTO regarding this order. CTO, sir, I can explain. I was just thinking that CEO, and did no one stop to think what issues this would cause? Matt, well, Jerry did try to explain a plan to the CTO. Joe, if I am not mistaken, Jerry knows that if the Exchange servers detect multiple updates coming out like this in a small time window, it triggers a spam blocker. Me, and that's why my plan was to update each ticket only once a day, rather than after every single thing that was done towards the request. CTO, I asked you to update at the end of the day with everything that happened with the work orders. CEO, according to your summary, you did ask for ticket updates as they occurred, and Jerry's team provided this. Why did you not listen to Jerry's plan of action? CTO, well, sir, I have been working in the field since before 2000. What can someone like Jerry provide me with? CEO, well, he can provide you with the information to tell you why your idea has just caused the company a ton of money since now our Exchange server got overloaded. Me, when I was talking about canvassing, I was trying to say that I wanted to reach out to each location's managers to compile a list of tickets to update in a scheduled manner, rather than do them all at once. But since you wouldn't listen to me and even threatened to fire me, I only complied with your plan. CTO, I cannot believe this is happening. Why am I being targeted here? At this point, the CEO asked Matt, Joe, and me to leave while had a word with the CTO on what teamwork means. Several minutes later, the network/infrastructure team was able to reboot the Exchange servers and remove the IT help desk mailbox from the spam filters. I later provided a mass email update to the organization, apologizing for any inconveniences that were caused and that I would be reaching out to provide plan support. I would soon find out that the CTO was placed on an unpaid leave until further investigation were pending. I ended up quitting a few months after that, since after the incident, the CTO was frequently trying to take her grudge out on Joe, Matt, and me. I did leave reporting the incidents to HR. I did later find out that the CTO was terminated and arrested for embezzlement. Update. I am genuinely shocked, sort of, at how much this blew up. Thank you all. Well, I suppose I will do my best to tie up some loose ends. For starters, for those who don't believe this is real, there are actually court documents out there regarding the embezzlement issues. I won't link them since I would rather not get this story traced back to me, but just think really hard of a popular United States Midwestern-based sandwich shop and look for embezzlement. You might find your proof. Another thing, for anyone who thinks that I was being respectful towards the CTO on my introduction, no, it was not because of chivalry. I respect everyone equally, despite their status or position, or power, I suppose. When I started at this company, everyone was super friendly and genuinely liked working with one another. So greeting new staff in a friendly manner and offering to provide assistance was just a norm. So the fact that she came in with that large of a chip on her shoulder and further accused me of being sexist really threw off. Furthermore, to clarify, that experience haunts me every time I speak to any female staff and thoughts race through my head, making me wonder if what I did or said could be deemed sexist, despite knowing well that I am being respectful and professional. Okay, now for the juicy bits, the embezzlement. When I found out about the embezzlement, I had already jumped ship from the place and moved on to a much better company. At the new company, I actually ended up poaching some of the best staff from the previous company to come work alongside me. Although I had almost no connections left at the Sandwich HQ place, some of the people I had brought over still had quite a number of connections back there. When I left, the company was no longer as friendly as it used to be. It was obvious that it was going down the shitter and overall becoming toxic, completely opposite from the image they try to portray. So one day, I come into work, and one of my buddies just shoots out of his chair, walks over to my desk, opens Google Chrome, and types in a certain set of keywords. Hits search. Of the top item was the public court documents. I read through it and found out everything. I reached out to Joe to see if he was still there. Sure enough, he had left a few months after the scandal. He informed me of what had happened. So it turns out that Mark and one of his employees were taking money from one of the vendors to be able to basically remain one of the company's utility companies across the US. At this time, the CTO was looking to switch to a different provider, but this particular provider did not want to lose the company, since they were their biggest contract. So the CTO made a deal with the head of the provider company, where they were suddenly accepting unreported funds. What ended up happening though was that one of the employees reported his earnings in his taxes, which somehow ended up going back to the company. I am not sure about how this worked out, I'm not a tax guy or WE, but then it went to finance department. This is where I called my contact from the finance department. My contact had told me that she saw the reported income and it did not add up at all. His income basically was doubled, but she worked alongside payroll and they knew his wages. The fact that he reported almost double his income could get both him and the company in serious trouble. So she did the only thing she could do, which was have an audit done. They reported this to the CEO and agreed to bring in an outside auditor, just to avoid any sort of possible conflicts of interest. The auditor then comes back to find where the extra funds came from, being a special contract with Mark, his employee, and the CTO signed off on it. They worded it very carefully so that it would go under the radar, but the taxes would be charged to the company. A week after the audit, some officials arrived at the company and arrested those 3 individuals. I'm not sure if they served jail time or something, but they sure as hell were walked out of there in handcuffs. Oh, and to answer one final question, for those wondering how in the hell the CTO got to her position in the first place, she was friends with the CEO. She apparently is out there, still being a CTO to this day. At my current job, one of my coworkers asked me if I knew this person's name, and I *tu not I was like, how the F ***, do you know her, only to later find out that coworker worked for the CTO and hated her. My coworker was going through some major issues while at that company, and when she opened up about it, the CTO threatened to fire her as she was just a liability waiting to happen. My coworker is in safe hands now where she gets the treatment and therapy she needs. Hopefully this answers any questions you all may have. I will update again if you have any further questions. Cheers. Update 2. Some of you are really good sleuths, lol. Regardless, I'm neither gonna confirm or deny the company name, especially because I don't want to dox anyone. Nobody should be doxed. I did see this in a comment, and I will admit that I am unsure as to why the CTO's name isn't in the court documents. I couldn't tell you since I wasn't there for that. All I know is she was walked out in handcuffs. Store policy. This was years ago, I am talking 2004 to 2005. I am not complaining here, simply pointing out an event I personally found funny. We had a new manager take over our grocery store that I worked at. He wanted us to follow the policy book to the letter, and I mean to the letter. A tad bit unrealistic, but he was super polite about it and said he was just trying to protect everyone's jobs. I thought this was nice of him, but at the same time, several of us tried to point out that some of the policies needed revision. One of the things in the policy book was we were to card everyone who wanted cigarettes or alcohol. It did not matter if it was extremely obvious that they are of age. It said in the policy book to card everyone, including any people with the person paying. If there were little kids, then this was of course an exception, they can't possibly have ID. So all the employees started complying with this policy. There were grumbles by customers, but we were just doing our job. The customers seemed to understand but would let the manager know how ridiculous they felt the policy was when it was extremely obvious as to who was old enough to purchase tobacco and alcohol without needing to card. But policy was policy after all. Well, one day I was working and I had a woman come into my line with a couple bottles of wine, and who was with her? The store manager, off the clock. It was him and his wife. Now let's remember, store policy is to card everyone, no exceptions aside from little kids. So what do? I ask for both of them to provide ID. My boss looks at me and says, "Isn't it obvious we are of age? I am your boss as well. Certainly you don't need to card us." I smiled and kindly reminded him what the store policy was and pointed out it was in the policy book that cashiers are required to card everyone, no matter if they were obviously of age. I also reminded him how he told all employees this was to be strictly enforced to protect our jobs. He just stares at me blankly. It's like he can't believe I am following exactly what he said to do. His wife had already handed me her ID and looks at him and says, "Well, where is your ID? If it's store policy, then it's store policy." It wasn't long after that he contacted corporate to ask that the policy be revised. A few weeks later, we are handed a new policy book, and the new policy on cigarette and alcohol sales was to card if the purchaser looked under 40 years of age. Again, I am not complaining here. I just thought this situation was funny. Laughing face. You think 72 degrees is too hot and the AC is broken? Better get used to now. I work on HVAC controls and building automation. I was called over to a lab building to look at something that somebody didn't know how it worked, so they naturally assumed it was a controls problem. As I stood in the hallway and explained to the building manager what the real issue is, a professor stepped out of his office and asks if we are the maintenance guys. His lab is too hot. The building manager politely gestured for me to assist the professor since I am responsible for the HVAC. This is pretty annoying for me because I am supposed to work off of tickets assigned by my dispatcher, rather than just doing random jobs for people that pull me aside. I don't want to be rude, so I put a smile on my face and walk into this hot lab. He shows me the thermostat, which is displaying 72 degrees, the normal set point across campus. 72 is the hard limit we set in all offices and labs to conserve energy. A lot of people try to come up with reasons to get it lowered, like their doctor told them they need it lowered for health reasons, or they strain muscles easily, and other weird stuff that ultimately never works in the long run. I tell this guy I can't change the set point lower than 72 due to the standards set by the campus. He then takes me to his other lab, which he says is working normally. He takes me to the adjacent lab next door, which is connected to this one through a set of double doors. This adjacent lab was cold, 65 degrees. He shows me the thermostat, it reads 65. I show him the set point is actually 72. I tell him that it's cold because there is a problem with the system and I now need to fix it. He looks at me like he just realized his whole reality just got flipped upside down. I tell him if he needs the set point lower than 72, he needs to email the energy manager and request an exemption. The mechanics fixed the problem with the reheat coil and both rooms are maintaining 72 degrees. After lunch, I check my phone for any new work orders. There's one for that same room. I open it up and the professor had wrote in the description of the problem, room needs to be 68 due to sensitive and expensive equipment. The previous technician did not fix the problem. I close the ticket and put in the notes, please email the energy manager to request an exemption like I explained earlier. Ticket complete. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.